Hi friends, welcome back to Social Science class. Myself Johnson George. In this video we are going to discuss the topic constitutional design. The chapter we are discussing in our live classes. What is called a constitution? We already discussed that topic. But I can explain once again what is a constitution. The constitution is a supreme law of the state. Everybody know what is constitution. Constitution is the supreme law of the state. Again we learned it is the foundation and source of the legal authority underlying the existence of the state. Yes, state that function according to the constitution of that country. So it is called the foundation. A constitution provides the framework for the organization of the state government. It provides the framework for the organization. How to organize the government then? All the guidelines are given through the constitution. So it is called, it provides the framework for the organization of the state government. A constitution is a basic design. Why it is called a basic design? Because which deals with the structure and powers of the government. It also includes rights and duties of a citizen. So a constitution defines or it deals with the structure of the government, powers of the government, rights and duties of the individual. These all things very clearly defined in a constitution. So, any country can function as per the constitution of that country. So, we called the constitution is the supreme law of any state. Then this constitution sometimes found in an established body of rules. Sometimes maybe that is a tradition. Some other places maybe that only a practice. Anyway, accordance with which it means accordance with that constitution, whether that is a body of rule or only a tradition or a practice, accordance with which the government is organized and its powers are exercised. The various countries are there in our world. They are following the different kinds of the constitution. Somewhere that is the body of rules are there like that our country. Then somewhere that is only traditions or somewhere that is only practice. Okay, anyway, that all the countries they are functioning as per the constitution what they are following in that country. Again, a constitution, the origin of the word constitution. The term constitution is derived from a Latin word called constitute. The Latin word is called constitute and the meaning is that to establish. So the term constitution is derived from a Latin word constitute, which means to establish. The constitution is the basic document of the state. Another statement. Constitution is the basic document of any state. It is the fundamental rule of a state. Constitution, we can interpret the constitution like that also. It is the fundamental rule of a state which regulates the distribution of powers. All the powers of the government distributed according to the constitution. Or constitution design each organ of the government and their role and their function, their powers, everything is very clearly mentioned in a constitution. So the constitution is called the fundamental rule of that country. Next one, why we need a constitution? Why we need a constitution? We need a constitution to curb the powers of the government. To control the powers of the government, we need a constitution. To give some powers to the government, we need a constitution. To protect the rights of the individual or citizen, we need a constitution. To establish the rule of law, we required a constitution. To save the state from anarchy, that is, or any kind of disturbances, we required a constitution or law. To define the operation of the sovereign powers of the states, we required a constitution. To limit present and future generation from arbitrary government, we need a constitution. So like that, in different ways, we required a constitution. So constitution guaranteed a good atmosphere for its citizen to live, a good atmosphere for the government to rule, and it provided a better living condition for the nation or people of the nation. So that's why we required or we needed a constitution. Then this constitution, there are different types of constitutions are there. Called written constitution is there, unwritten constitution is there, rigid constitution is there, flexible constitution is there, or federal constitution is there, or a unitary constitution is there. Now we are going to see what are either written constitution or unwritten constitution, and rigid constitution or the flexible constitution. These 4 points we can discuss now. We can discriminate or what are the differences of these constitutions. Okay, first of all we can see the written constitution and the unwritten constitution. What are the differences between a written constitution and a unwritten constitution? Written constitution is the form of book or a document. A written constitution is in the form of a book or a document. A drafted form is there. A written constitution having a drafted form. Alphabetical form is there. But in the case of unwritten constitution, it is not written in such a format. There is no any form, written form, nothing is there. That is only orally. The term itself describing that is an unwritten constitution, not written anywhere. Only orally, a tradition or practice, that much only. That is called an unwritten constitution. Then a written constitution made and enacted by a constituent assembly of the people. So a written constitution, who drafted that one? The people's assembly, a constituent assembly formed, and that assembly discussed and they drafted a constitution. Which constitution? A written constitution. But in the case of unwritten constitution, it is the result of a gradual process of constitutional evolution. It is only evolution, gradually developed. No group or no assembly assembled and adopted this constitution. It is gradually developed that constitution. As a tradition or practice like that developed that constitution. Next one is that usually the written constitution less flexible. A written constitution making any changes. Flexible means change. Changes is not possible. Possible, but that is difficult. Okay, so that a written constitution is less flexible, but unwritten constitution, they are flexible, easily can change. As per the wish of the government, ruler, they can change, interpret the laws in their own way. So the changes are possible. The unwritten constitution easily changeable or is possible to amend. That's the term we want to use there. Okay, these all are the some of the differences or the some of the features of either written constitution and a unwritten constitution. What are them? The written constitution is in the form of a book or a document, and the making a change is not possible, and their constitution is drafted a constituent assembly. But unwritten constitution, that is not written form, not in a written form, and they are not adopted by any assembly. It is only constitutional evolution happened there. Then it is flexible, possible to change. Then another difference is that its provision can be quoted in support or against any power exercised by the government. So, which power exercised by the government? How the government is functioning there? So, the written constitution sometimes in favor of the government, or sometimes it is against the wish of the ruler. Anyway, the ruler had to follow that constitution. Though something is against his wish, or that ministry's wish, but they should follow that one. But in the case of unwritten constitution, they can change. Suppose the ruler thinks that this constitution is against my wish, they can change that one, and they can function after changing that constitution. These all are the features of that written and unwritten constitution. Then this written constitution again divided into two groups called the flexible and rigid constitution. The written constitution is sometimes easy to change. Later constitutions are called flexible constitution. But some constitutions is very difficult to change. Very long processes are there for changing here. Like that constitutions are called rigid constitution. So a flexible constitution can be easily amended. We can use the here term amendment. Okay, so it is easily amended, but a rigid constitution cannot be easily amended. There are some processes are there for making any amendment in that constitution. Then amendment process, what is the amendment process there? In the case of flexible constitution, constitutional law can be amended in the same way as an ordinary law. Any law we are making there like that, a flexible constitution, in a flexible constitution any law we can change. But in the case of rigid constitution, for making any amendment, the legislature has to pass an amendment bill, and there in the legislature or the parliament they want to get 2/3 of the majority or 3/4 of the majority, not a simple majority. Then only possible to make any changes in the constitution. That is another feature of the rigid constitution. Then in the case of flexible constitution, there is no instability. Time to time the government may change that constitution. But in the rigid constitution, there is a stability is there. The governments are not allowed to change time to time. Again, the amendment. The amendment of the flexible constitution very simple. But the rigid constitution amendment is very difficult. There are processes are there. Hundreds of the processes are there. Means the flexible constitution does not need a revolution for any changes in laws. There is no need of making the revolution, any struggle from the people's side. But the rigid constitution can lead to revolt against the government. Suppose sometimes make any changes, it may lead to revolt also, revolutions also. Okay, then the example. The British Constitution is an example of the flexible constitution, and the USA's Constitution is an example of a rigid constitution. Then what about the Indian Constitution? Indian Constitution have both these characters. That is a flexible and rigid. It is a flexible, but there are some processes are there. We will study about how to make the changes or amendment in the constitution in our next classes. I hope you understood all the points. We will meet again in our next video. Thank you.